Hi, you guys. It's Wendy from Pacific Northwest Aesthetics Academy. And of course, there's my dogs barking in the background. I am coming to you from home. Hi, you guys. I think that's Jamie. Thanks, Jamie. I am on a webinar right now and expecting 20-ish or so attendees, but I'm also doing this on an Instagram Live. So if any of you are at home watching the webinar and you want to let other people know that I am here on Instagram Live as well. So you can see this presentation in several different formats. And the webinar is starting at 10, but I'm going to go ahead and start now and just tell you a little bit about my background and how this relates to what's happening today with our aesthetic practices all across the United States. I'm kind of one of those people who is in kind of, oh, sorry about that, you guys, on Instagram, but that works out okay too. I'm just gonna leave you right there. So I started my first med spa in 2012. And then I began the training academy with my partner, Kathy Kramer, in 2016. And then most recently, I started a whole nother med spa in just October of this last year. So I'm like a lot of you who have had your aesthetic practices for quite a while. Some of you who've had your aesthetic practices for somewhere, in that middle range. And then those of you who have just started your aesthetic practices. And I can tell you, as one of those people, that is the scariest group to fall into. I have been since I started, really, I've learned everything that I know about business just from trial and error and from asking questions and from just kind of figuring it out on my own. So during this time of crisis, that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to figure it out. And so over the last 2 weeks, and definitely in the last week since I scheduled this webinar, I have been constantly researching and watching webinars and trying to figure out the best information so that I can then relay it to all of you guys, because I know that we are all in this together, and as a community, we will definitely come out on top and much, much stronger than we've ever been. So if you have any questions as we go along, I won't be able to see questions on the IG live feed. So if you want to ask me a question, DM me on the IG live on my Instagram page, or at the bottom, you can just hit that little question mark, and then questions will come through that way. And then meanwhile, if you're watching on the webinar, I can see the chat, so I would love it if you can just let me know that you're here, that you can see me, and that that you're getting my messages, and you can actually contribute some comments too. So for those of you who are on the webinar right now, if you could just send me a thumbs up or something to let me know that you can hear what's happening. As we move on through this crisis, hopefully I'm able to give business people, owners, and everybody else some guidance right now, and we can all network together and share information. If there's anything that you feel specifically that you need help with, I'm more than happy. I'm discounting my business consultation fee markedly. So if you want to do a private 30-minute or 1-hour session with me, it would just be $100, which is a huge discount on what I normally charge. So for those of you guys who are on the webinar, I'm not seeing any hellos or anything right now. If you guys could type in to under the section in chat or in the section under question, if you could just type something in there so I know that you're hearing me on the webinar format, that would be great. I think I see, awesome. Thank you, Jen. So I love that I've got so many people from all over the US and hopefully from beyond on this webinar, because it is universal. And so I definitely want to hear from you. So the title of this webinar is How Are You Doing? So I definitely want to hear at the end of all this how you guys are doing, because I definitely want to help, and I want to pass on any pearls of wisdom to other people as well. So part one is going to be what you should have already done, and if you haven't done it, what you need to do now, meaning today. Part two will be what you can do next. So in the next phase of this, how people are generating revenue, how we're keeping afloat, that sort of thing. And then part three will be looking towards the future and utilizing the lessons that we've learned from this. Oh, sorry, you guys, I just got knocked out. Let me knock myself back in. There we go. Okay. And sorry again. There we go. Okay. So, and I can't turn my phone on to airplane mode because then I couldn't Instagram. Anyhow, here we go. So, so right now, not only is this a time for your business, but personally, this is when you need to hang on to the liquid assets you have. This is not the time to pay off your credit card debt. This is not the time to pay off your devices. This is the time to call your credit card companies and say, listen, I'm closed. I'm not able to generate any revenue. So I need a deferment. I need to pay half my usual payment. They are willing to work with you, at least they should be. And if they are not, then you need to immediately, whenever you're able, just cancel that card. So credit card companies, you should be calling them ASAP if you haven't already done that. And then moving on from that, your rent, if you have a mortgage, call your mortgage broker, call your landlord, call your property management. And I have been hearing that a lot of property management companies are being very, very generous and giving deferments and then just tacking that on to the end of the lease. Our property management company here in Portland hasn't been super generous in that way. They're asking for a lot of financials that are really, quite frankly, none of their business. Nobody is making money right now, especially in our industry, the non-essential industry providers. So I did do a profit and loss so that they can see the huge hit that we took in March compared to February and January, and did a comparison of March 2020 to 2019. And that's all I'm divulging to them. They don't need to see where all of our money goes. The point is that we're not making money, so therefore we can't pay our rent. Are they going to evict us? No, they're not going to evict us. But it's not that we don't want to pay, we literally cannot pay our rent at this point, which is super sad and very frightening. But take that as a lesson. You need to reach out. Step one is just reach out to these credit card companies, the people that you owe money to. Devices, that's the other thing. And it just breaks my heart because I know of so many small businesses out there, and they started with their neuromodulator and their filler, and then they just went gung-ho and bought all these devices. And so now they have all these payments, like you guys have all these payments on these devices. Same thing, call whoever financed that device and see if you can get a deferment. If you feel like this is the time that you need to just unload that device, then DM me. I have a contact that is actually in the process of buying devices. So if you're at that point that you need to do that, then direct message me and I can give you some contacts for people who are currently looking for devices to buy. So I was on AmSpa this morning, and a super scary statistic that 20% of our med spas in the United States are probably going to go under due to this pandemic. And that's part of the reason is that some of us have a lot of overhead. And even with the federal assistance that is hopefully coming down the funnel, we will recover quicker. But I'm not really hopeful about that. Logistically, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So the other thing you should be thinking about is unemployment. So unemployment is for everybody now. You don't have to be W-2. You can be an independent contractor. You can be self-employed. It doesn't matter. So if you need to file for unemployment, yes, there's 6 million people who applied for unemployment, and that's a super duper scary statistic. but that doesn't mean that you should not at least try to file for unemployment. And in part 2, I'll tell you about some other assistance programs that you can look at and look into. So those are the biggest things that I can recommend to you now, personally and in your business, is doing all those things. And it's really just reaching out. And I'm not going to lie, this has been really hard for me because I'm very independent and I don't like to take help. But this is a very desperate times call for desperate measures, and this is definitely qualifies as that. So now what? You've done all that. Hopefully that doesn't take more than an hour or two. And I have been trying to fill my day with things. This is a really, really great time to educate yourself. So you're attending this webinar, you're watching this IG Live. This is a super great time to educate yourself. And I just did a post on Instagram this morning about Dr. Chris Surik, who you guys have heard me just promote time and time again. He is doing Power Hour, an injection Power Hour. It's every night. So it's the same content every night. And at first I was like, well, it's $250. For me right now, that's a lot. I'm not gonna lie. That's $250 is a lot. Part of the proceeds of that do go to COVID-19. And the response that I've been hearing this whole week about this Power Hour devoted to anatomy with Dr. Chris Surik, and it's in a live format, I believe it's Zoom, and it's a small group. So if you want to, just pop over to injectionanatomy.org and register for that right now. And then if you're not able to get into tonight's, then register for tomorrow's. And then my understanding is they'll have it all next week too. So usually I am registered for Dr. Surik's injection anatomy class in Kansas City in June. I hope that happens, but this is a huge savings. That's like a $3,000 course. And if you can get just a bit of his knowledge for $250, that's a really good investment in your education. AmSpa has a ton of free webinars. So if you're, and it doesn't matter, if you're not a AmSpa member, it's okay. You can still utilize their webinar resources, and I found them to be really, really helpful. I've watched several of their webinars, and it just is part of all this information that I've been able to amass. And if I have more information, I feel a little bit more empowered. The first week of the pandemic crisis that we stayed home, things were just so off the rails. And what I've discovered about myself, and I've met so many of you, and I feel like, you know, aesthetic providers and maybe healthcare providers in general have that streak of like trying to tame the chaos and put the train back on the tracks. And I've discovered that if I have more information, that I can cope a whole lot better. The other things are for, a lot of Instagram accounts too are just having a lot of really interesting Instagram live. So Injectors Lounge, that's Dr. Mark Subio. If you're not following the Injectors Lounge, make sure and pop on there. Dr. Subio has had some really, really great content. There's a lot of plastic surgeons who I've been watching their IG lives. And for your own Instagram accounts, get on there. And we're the next thing I want to talk about is while you're in this period of not generating income, and a lot of you are not able to have face-to-face with your patients, you need to still be in communication with them somehow. So a large part of that is your social media platforms, most notably Instagram Live. There's so many people trying to connect with other people on social media platforms right now. So start doing that if you haven't already with your patients. Like, start getting on there and do videos like this and do Instagram Lives, because keeping your patients engaged and letting them know that you care about them and what they're going through and that you're going to be here to support them ongoing is huge. And it's a lot of people out there are essential employees, or they're not affected financially by this. And I've changed my thought process on this in the last couple of weeks, because I just assumed that nobody has money right now. Well, apparently that's not the case, because I've had patients reaching out to me asking me if they can get in, and I'm like, it's a pandemic, like should not be your first priority. And wow, you can really afford a $3,000 thread lift right now. That's awesome. So I think now is the time to start virtual consultations, which I'm doing. Virtual consults are great. And I think it's also really cool that during the virtual consultation, and all the HIPAA laws have been thrown out. You guys, Donald Trump decided that last week that HIPAA is no longer pertaining. So you can do telemedicine as long as you're not billing insurance for it. So if you're billing insurance for it, you do have to go through a HIPAA compliant platform. But if you're doing it like private pay, cash based, it's you can still do that. So I'm FaceTiming with my patients or doing a Zoom meeting with my patients, and then I can take a screenshot of their face, and then I have them turn and do the profile shots. And then so we talk about everything, I write it all up, I give them an estimate, and then I can mark up their picture and send it to them so they see exactly what the plan is. And no, they don't have to do everything right away. It can definitely be spaced out. But what that also does, when they do a virtual consultation with me, then they know that they go to the front of the line. So when we do reopen, I intend to work Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. if I need to, and I'm just going to get everybody in. And so by doing a virtual consultation, they go to the front of the line. The other thing that I at first was kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that, are the prepaid gift cards. And so what we've done is we've done a $100 gift card for 75 bucks, a $250 gift card for, wait a minute, yeah, $100 gift card for 75, a $250 gift card for 175, and a $500 gift card for $400. So my virtual consultation patients are seeing the dollar amount that it's going to cost them, and then they're buying the gift cards to cover that amount, and they're going to the front of the line. So for a lot of patients, this is really appealing. I was honestly a little surprised by how much response I got from that. So that was awesome. And I encourage you to do something similar if you're able to. The caveat to that I don't recommend is if you don't have inventory in stock, then you're not going to want to do that because you're going to be in the hole when you start. So you're not going to be able to buy a bunch more product. But if you already have that inventory in stock, then it's a great way to do that. If you don't think you're going to survive this time of quarantine, isolation, then you also don't want to do that because then you're taking people's money and you're not going to be able to deliver. So keep those things in mind. I don't think any of you would do that, but it's just something to definitely, if you're on the edge there, this isn't a time to like make false promises. If you really think that you're going to have to declare bankruptcy or not be able to practice during this time. So those are some things about gift cards. And then also on the other thing to think about is retail. So if you retail skincare products, then start marking down your skincare products. I have my esthetician, Kim Clark. She's on Skin by Kim Clark, Kim Clark Skin. Kim is selling a lot of her private label skincare right now. So people are stuck at home, but they still want to take care of their skin. Another really cool thing you can do is put together like little packages. So if you're able to do like put together a package for a facial or something like that at home that people can do there, then that is also kind of a nice way to generate some revenue. So think about retail stuff that you have at home. So the other things that you can do now to generate income, I would love some input on that if I haven't mentioned some of those things already. I know hairstylists are doing at-home coloring kits, that kind of stuff, which is awesome. But for the aesthetic providers, I was like, maybe I can pre-fill Botox, or no, that's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. But if you guys have any other suggestions about how during this phase, this part 2 phase, like what are we doing during this time? This is a good time to really expand your social media, maybe. If you haven't got on TikTok, give that a go. It's pretty interesting. I have a TikTok account, but I haven't created any content. But this is the time. You have the time. If you feel like you're not very social media savvy, then why not use this time to figure it out? You're not going to screw anything up by giving it a shot. So the federal programs that you can and should apply for now. So there's, of course, the payroll protection program. So that form to apply for that, apparently from the information I've been given most recently, that was leaked too soon. So yes, we have the form and yes, it's filled out, but the banks aren't ready. Like April 3rd, tomorrow will be the soonest that they'll even have the slightest clue on how this is all going to work. That's the soonest. April 8th is a more solid estimate as to when banks are going to be ready to process your application. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around where they're getting all this money, because every small business in America is going to be applying for this. It doesn't matter. Just do it. You have the time to do it. So if you don't have the PPP PDF application, send me a direct message or send me an email. It's wendy@pnwaestheticsacademy.com, and I'll send you the PDF form that you need to fill out. Super easy. It doesn't take very long at all. The more time-consuming part, but we all have time, right, is getting all of your payroll expenses, your payroll history, your profit and loss reports, anything that you would typically be asked for when applying for a small business loan. You're going to want to have that ready to go to back up what you're requesting, the money that you're requesting. And so how they're figuring that out is your average monthly payroll times 2.5. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we only have 2 people who are on W-2s. We've got 2 consistent independent contractors who rely upon their salary from us. So in looking through all this information, what I'm seeing is that you can also claim the independent contractor salaries that you're paying on a consistent basis. There's a limit of $100,000 per employee, so keep that in mind. So those are for people who are W-2'd and for people who you may have on your staff as independent contractors. So again, if you need more information on that, let me know. You can also, the other part, and so that's what we're going to be doing at Pacific Northwest Aesthetics Academy. And we are located here, our main headquarters is here in Portland, Oregon. So that brings me to the other point, is there's a lot of local small business associations that are offering help right now. So the one in Portland is called, I'm gonna forget it now. I thought I wrote it down. It's Portland Small Businesses, Prosper Portland. That's what it is, Prosper Portland. So unfortunately, the application for that ended like midnight last night or something. But if you're not in Portland, if you're in a different area, look at your local small business associations, because they may have something similar. And so what Prosper Portland has done is they've got $1.38 million, and they're just going to give grants to small businesses. And they're showing preference for small businesses that are minority owned. So that's us as female business owners. And so look for those in your local cities. So that's another resource. And then of course on the National Small Business Association page, there's still available the disaster loan. So it is so tedious, you guys. I started it last week before all this PPP stimulus package stuff came out. I started that loan, the disaster relief loan. So that's an up to $10,000 loan. And the website is even on our best days, it's clunky and times you out, and it's really tedious. So if you sit down and with a glass of wine and just know that it's going to take you a while, but that is either at very low interest or no interest. So that is definitely something that you can tap into, which for my business in Hood River, like that's the one that I'm really honestly scared about, because I just started that business in October. My employee there, my nurse injector, she was W-2'd, but only for the first couple months. We weren't generating revenue. We were starting off really slowly. So despite my best efforts to not have debt at that office, we have $10,000 of debt right now there. And it's at a very low interest rate. And our landlord in our little space there has just said, you're not paying rent until this is all over. And if you need to get out of this lease early, then that's fine. So our landlord there has been really, really cool. And I don't qualify there for the payroll protection program. And even if I did, my employee is generating so little that I'm only going to get like $2,000 for that. Yes, any little bit helps for sure, but of that money that I'm allocated through the PPP, 75% has to go to payroll. So then I have even less to help pay off this debt. So this is something that in my mind, I'm already kind of foreseeing, like I might have to declare bankruptcy at that business, which makes me a total crazy person. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and we'll rebuild and we'll regrow, and it will eventually be fine. And I apologize for my dogs barking again. But so I know a lot of you are in a similar situation, and I just keep looking at the silver lining. And for me, the silver lining there is that I didn't buy devices, that I don't have even more overhead than that, and that my landlord is being super generous. So those are the federal assistance things, and I encourage you to reach out to the small business associations locally and federally for any help that you can get. I'm on the US Bank. US Bank is who we bank with. So on their website, there's a pop-up that says PPP information for the payroll protection program. And you just click through and you submit a request for information, and they're supposed to contact you. It's like, don't contact us, we'll contact you. And the recommendation is to go with whoever you currently bank with, because they know your history, they have all the documents they need already, and you're more likely to get money from an established institution that you have a relationship with. So just some more kind of hopefully helpful hints about those kinds of things. So that was part two. I think I hit on a lot of, I hope, helpful information. So if you have questions, let me know. Part three is, what does this look like when we reopen? So what I really want you guys to do is to take these lessons that we're learning now and proceed with those. So virtual consultations, like why not? Even if we can meet face to face, a lot of our patients are not able to meet us during office hours, let's say. So maybe once a week, even, when we reopen, we'll do, an evening with Kathy where you can just do virtual consultations from 7 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night. So think about the ways that even moving forward that you can add virtual consultations to your office, and just try to be proactive about, because this could happen again. So if you've already got measures in place to stay afloat, then you're not going to be as stressed out if and when it does happen again. The other things that we are doing as a training business is that we are moving our platform to a virtual format. So even in the future, and we love having a group setting because you learn so much from your colleagues, that's our preference. This month we're doing our didactic is online, so it'll be a webinar, and we're not going to get that camaraderie between bouncing ideas with our colleagues, but the actual in-person sense of it, but we'll still be able to interact in a webinar format. So moving forward, we're going to keep that going too, because it can be an option for people down the line. And then our injectable part of it, the hands-on part of it that we are never going to let go by the wayside, will be just one day. So instead of a 2-day in-person class, it's a 1-day in-person class. So it's doing the webinar in an interactive format, and then it's coming and just knocking out 1 day of basic Botox and basic filler. So that is something that we're working on, how to make the advanced class work in a similar way. But the advanced class is only 2 hours of didactic. It's so intensive, hands-on, and I know there's some of you on here who have taken our advanced class before, and it's just so important to get those more complex, more complicated procedures to get more hands-on time with that and have a really good mentorship with that. So we're still working on that. Our skincare for the medical provider is available this month and ongoing in a webinar format. So that's from 9 till noon. So it's just a 3-hour didactic. And then it'll be just probably a 4-hour in-person training with the IPL device, the microneedling device, and chemical peels. So we also, during our skincare for the medical provider class, we also go over like dermal planing, and we talk about like microneedling with PRP and microneedling with what I call our superfacial cocktail. And that's where we blend the dermal filler with some neuromodulator and some saline, and it's just super cool. So that's those are some things that we're implementing as we go forward. And then we are going to just have the biggest party that we possibly can have. A lot of you probably already know we're expanding into our new office, and that's just gonna open up so much more area for people to just party. A lot of our colleagues, we're gonna invite in and just have like a play day. So as our staff often will get together and have a play day and do treatments on each other, because we don't have a lot of time to do that when we're busy and things are up and rolling. But when we get back from this, we're all going to need treatments, and we all love PDO threads, so that's going to be a huge draw. So hopefully we'll be doing that with a lot of you locally, where we just have former graduates of our program, and we just all come in and just do treatments on each other. So it'll be super fun. Now that I mentioned product, this is another thing that you want to do right now, is to go to your office, which you can go to your office and do an inventory. And if there's anything that you have that is going to be outdating soon, sorry about my dogs, anything that's going to be outdating soon, that's going to be expiring, call the company that you purchase those things from, whether it's neuromodulator or dermal filler or your PDO threads, your platelet, your tubes to draw your PRP or your PRF, even your cartridges for your microneedling pens. Anything that you have that's going to be expiring, just note the date, the serial number on those, and call the company. A lot of companies are taking those back, and they'll send you ones that have a longer shelf life. So make sure and do that. So specials, when you reopen, just look at your business structure now, and if you can and need to do any restructuring in the future, so that if and when this happens, that we're not in this situation anymore. So like I said, my first business, they're still up and running. I'm not a part of that anymore, but it is a business that's been around for 8 years, and they have devices, there's hairstylists, there's lash specialists, and they've definitely asked for help from their landlord about deferring rent, and they've agreed to do that. Nobody's generating any income anymore. Everybody's at a standstill. And then our business, we're asking for forgiveness for our credit cards and our rent, all that stuff. And then the new business, we'll just kind of see how it goes. That's the one that I'm most nervous about. And yeah, so I would love to hear from any of you. If you have comments or questions, I can't see my Instagram stuff, you guys, so I apologize for that. But I had to really figure this all out as I went. Any questions from you guys? And like I said at the beginning, if you want to talk to me privately, you can find me on Instagram at PNW Aesthetics Academy and PNW_trainer_Wendy Key, and DM me at either of those. Facebook, of course, we're always there, and then my email address is wendy@pnwaestheticsacademy.com. And if you have friends in the industry who are or have been interested in getting out of the acute care setting, this probably isn't the time that they want to I'm hoping that people stay at the bedside and don't quit. I'm trying to get back into the bedside, but that seems to be complicated too. So that's a whole nother story. So if you have colleagues who you think might be interested in the virtual format while they're not doing anything, then have them reach out to us. We do have financial assistance programs and we're giving huge discounts right now. So even though we're advertising the price of our course is the same, $3,750 for the basic injectable course, same content, same workbook, same CEUs. We are offering big discounts as well as financial assistance. So if you have anybody in the medical industry that are medically licensed, we have that going on now and likely into May. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot, not only are friends and family are asking me my opinion about how long this will last, like I have some inside information, I don't, but everything that I'm hearing is into May. And I agree with that. I don't see this really letting off at all until through May. So be ready for a super, super busy summer. June through December are just gonna, you guys are just all gonna kill it. And we are here to support you. So let us know what you need. If there's no questions here in the webinar, I'm going to sign off. And thank you all for watching this. I appreciate it so, so much. And I'll be reposting this webinar on YouTube. So you have a YouTube channel, PNW Aesthetics Academy, or maybe it's all spelled out, Pacific Northwest Aesthetics Academy, our YouTube channel. So if you don't have YouTube, this is a good time to do that as well, okay? So all these things you need to do. And if you need any help, you can reach out to me. And if you need any one-on-one business advice, please don't hesitate to reach out because we are stronger as a community. We're all in this together. And at the end of the day, when this is all over, we're all just going to be fine. Have a great day, everybody. And thank you so much for watching.